Hello, welcome to this episode of Stage the Game. We apologize for the 2 week absence, as schedules have been shitty.
Mm-hmm.
But in,
That's
uh, we're doing a very special episode today.
yes.
Not so lighthearted as it normally is, but it's a topic that's very relevant and we feel like it should be addressed. So, we're doing a special episode today on sexual assault in the entertainment industry. This discussion is going to be led by Jessie as the only female here. We feel it'd be better that way.
That's not water. That's
Straight vodka. No, it's water. It's cool.
But and Tony and I shall contribute to the conversation. But
Please do.
yes, okay, Jessie, start us off.
Yes. Yes, I am a human female in the world. Yes. So when Owen suggested we talked about this, I think that I think it's a good idea. I mean, it's important. It's happening now. It is like by not talking about it, I think that it's become such a problem. Uh, I I guess we'll just start with some stories and we'll talk about how they make us feel. My personal experience with sexual assault in theater is that when I was in college, I was the artistic director of the Free Play Theater Cooperative, which was just a little tiny theater club that did like experimental theater. And so my job as artistic director was to like approve all the shows for the season. And basically what I did is if you didn't sound crazy and you really wanted to do a play, I would say yes. Just like, we only have this much money, but like, yes, go do it. So there was one year where I had 3 proposals, which was a staggering amount for my tiny club, and I accepted them all. And one was next to normal, and I gave them all of our money, and I said, go make art. And then 2 more, I don't even remember the third one, to tell you the truth. The second one was the problem, was that there was a grad student, I think, at Brandeis who wanted to come back to Free Play and put on Hedda Gabler. And I was like, okay, that's fine. He claimed to be a
Why?
founder.
But okay.
Yeah, right? It doesn't seem very Free Play, but who am I to judge? I'm just glad you want to use our club to make a show. So I was not even really directly involved in the project. I was the artistic director, and I said, okay, go do it. He was a grad student. I think he claimed to be like a founder of Free Play, which was cool, like unconfirmed. I don't really have the history of it. And he went and he put on Hedda Gabler, and I checked in on them because that was my job, was to be like, how's it going? What's up? How's it shaking? And then at some point, the lead actress who was playing Hedda Gabler came to me, and she said, like, our director has been like making me feel really uncomfortable, and I honestly feel like he's sexually harassing me. And I was like, holy shit, thank you for coming to me. And it precipitated, like a very awkward meeting for me. I mean, awkward is not the right word, but I fired that guy from my club. I remember being like in a room with him and my stage manager friend, Rachel, who I think was also an officer of Free Play, and being like, like, you're making your actors very uncomfortable. We have to like, you can't do this anymore. Like, we have to find somebody else. And he was like, oh yeah, like, I don't really have time for it anyway. Like, I'm really busy, it was fun, but like, yeah, I totally agree. And I remember that being like weird, right? Because you're like, you've made your cast feel uncomfortable, and your response is like, yeah, well, I'm really busy. So it's not a big deal. And so my regret, I guess, in that circumstance was like, was there a way I could have made him understand like what he had done more than just like getting him to leave? Because my goal was to get him to leave, and that was accomplished really easily, way more easily than I thought it would have been. So, I don't know. I think that's like maybe a larger part of this thing in theater, is that the boundaries are already tight, right? Like, we work in theater, everyone is getting changed backstage, we're all close, you get close really fast. And realizing when you've crossed a line, like, when is that? So that was my story. I mean, I know that I'm the only female person here, but I wonder if you guys have ever picked up on anything? Has there ever been like a weird situation near you, or like where you felt you need to say something, or have you ever been made to feel uncomfortable? I mean, like, because people are touchy-feely in theater, and sometimes it can go too far.
I have a story, and I think I've told this to Tony mainly because it happened when I was working at McCarter.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, working in company management, I work with a lot of actors, and some of them are very flirty, and I'm fine with that. People are very flirty in theater. It's just what it is. When people get touchy, it bothers me a lot. I'm not a big touchy person. I'm okay with like a hug now and then, but like anything more than that, it really makes me uncomfortable. Um, we were doing our production of Christmas Carol, and there were a few actors who liked to flirt with me in that, but there was one actor in particular who kept taking it like a little too far. Like he would come up and like massage my shoulders a little bit, and it made me very creeped out. But I didn't say anything because I was an intern and I didn't feel like it was my place. Then at the Christmas party that we threw at the intern house, I was on my way out the door, and then that's when the cast showed up, and the cast member, this particular cast member showed up, and he was really drunk at this point. I don't know what he'd been doing at this point, but I was trying to just sneak past him, and he like grabbed me and was like, "Oh, are you staying?" I'm like, "No, I'm leaving." Like, "Oh, well, can I at least have a hug?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And so I gave him a hug, and then he nibbled on my ear. And at that point, I pushed him off. I was like, "Okay, I'm leaving. Bye." And that really shuddered me. That really creeped me out, and I was not comfortable with that at all. I didn't say anything until after the cast left because, again, I didn't feel like it was my place. But I did tell the company manager once the show was over, and she said, "You should have told me. We could have fired him before that for making you feel uncomfortable."
Yeah, yeah. And I think what you're describing too, and you have told me that story before, and it is fucked up. Like, no one should presume in that way towards another person. But it's this like power dynamic too, where like you're an intern, right? So you feel like you don't want to make a scene. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Like you can't say something. And I think that's why it can be more prevalent in entertainment. I mean, you look at actors and they're just trying to get hired. They don't want to be the person who's difficult, or they don't want to call out a director who could hire them later, or things like that. And I think that's a big part of the problem, is you feel like you can't say something, or it's not worth saying something. And it always is worth saying something, and we should fire everybody who makes people feel uncomfortable. Yeah, I don't know. It's so what makes people like presume in that way. I don't know. It's terrible. It's really bad. I think it's going on a lot of places. As you know, I've been working on this film. I mean, I quit last Friday because it sucked balls.
I didn't know you quit.
I did. I quit on Friday because they fired my boss in a way that I felt was really, really immoral. And also my knee was sprained, and also I really need to get back to writing plays, and I had already made several $1,000s, and I hate going to Brooklyn for this bullshit. But I'll complain about the terrible movie business in another episode. But, you know, there was a day before my boss was fired when I was talking to him and my production coordinator, Lee, and they're both wonderful people, not part of the terribleness of the project. But you know, he was sort of processing Zach, the Harvey Weinstein thing, and he was sort of like self-thinking about like an agent he knew in like vaguely knew, like ran in the same circles within LA, and he was just sort of like thinking through this guy who he knew like flirted with actors inappropriately, but he also knew that he did good work. Like I think he was the agent for one of the Stranger Things kids, and I think that he also was just fired.
Oh yeah, the Stranger Kids thing did fire him after the allegations came out.
It was that guy, yeah. And Zach sort of knew him, and he was sort of thinking to himself, you know, like we all knew that he was like inappropriate with boys, but we didn't know how far it went. But like, why didn't we say anything? Like when you know, why don't you just take the effort to just get him fired when you sort of know? But you're like, well, he's good at his job, and it was interesting to watch him sort of think through that.
My friends and I just had this conversation today about Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
About those allegations. One, he came about that in such a horrible, horrible way. And just the, oh yeah, I was accused of sexually assaulting a minor at the time, and also yeah, I'm gay, which is horrible. Making that connection is the worst possible thing he could have done, and there is no connection. So giving an excuse for people to be like, aha, see, we told you. No, that's horrible. That is absolutely horrible, and he fucked up. But we were talking about it, and I said, I'm not sure how to feel now, because I liked his work for a long time, and I liked him as an actor. But clearly, this stuff is part of who he is as a person, and that informs his acting. So should I feel bad about enjoying him as an actor? Mm-hmm. And what we kind of boiled down to, and we were just all bouncing the ideas off each other. No one was right or wrong. But we were talking, saying, you based your opinion off of not full information. And so, yeah, that was about him, but you didn't know. But now, say if you liked one of his movies, and you can still enjoy that work. It was a good piece of art, but don't go rebuy that movie. Don't buy it. Don't buy it again. Don't support his new stuff, if there is ever any new stuff. Because now a second one just came out. The second allegation just came out.
Actually, and there were two that came out today.
Two. I saw the one. Jeez, but. And that's kind of where we landed on, was just because he did good work and was still this bad person doesn't mean the work's not good, but and it stinks. And then we got into the conversation of, especially when it came to House of Cards, we said, well, why end that show when it punished this one man when the crew and the other actors worked so hard? And we didn't really resolve that. We said, well, that sucks. And we equated it to if a CEO was stealing from a company, that CEO gets fired and everyone down the line gets fucked over. It just happens, and there's no real solution to that. Netflix, that show specifically, said, yeah, we're probably going to do a spinoff or two, so at least the crew gets to keep working. But their formal stance on it was, yeah, it's going to be over after next season, but there might be some spin-offs, just no Kevin Spacey. Just so that's not bad, but
yeah,
that's the whole thing around all these allegations and all these just all these incidents. That's so there's a lot to it, and it boils down to if you see something, say something. Because it could have been prevented, especially with Kevin Spacey. It was, and even Weinstein, was everybody knew. It was like a long-standing, we know, just don't talk about it kind of thing. And that's
in Hollywood. It was a joke. Like people, that's the problem. People have joked about this thing and made like parodies of like the way that people do the entertainment thing, like the casting couch thing. It's been a running gag in Hollywood.
It's been a running gag, but it's real.
It's real, and it's not. It's not a joke.
No. I mean, and he really did ruin the careers of women who refused to sleep with him, or who just tried to speak out. They now no longer exist in entertainment because he had that sort of power. And I know that one of the things some of my female friends have been saying about the Kevin Spacey thing is like, oh, so we believe, I mean, Anthony Rapp is great and I love his work and I believe him 100%, but as soon as he makes these allegations, he's believed immediately. And like, how many women had to come out before we took Harvey Weinstein, and how many women had to come out for our president, and he's still president? Because like a woman's word is not really taken seriously.
Really quick political stance. There's an election in 6 days. Please go vote.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. It's a local election. Jersey specifically. There's a governorship up.
Registered to vote in New Jersey.
There's a governorship in Jersey that's up. So this is the first major election since the bombshell.
Either way, New Jersey's not going to have a good governor. New Jersey never has a good governor. Democrat or Republican, they're all terrible.
It could be Christie Jr. So,
but Corzine was a rocket scientist.
But he was also an
cool. Idiot. Yeah. Well, anyone will be better than Christie, but I think the Democrats should win. But I'm going to go home and vote in that election.
No, the Democrats should, in theory, win by all standards of polling and stuff like that. But
for Jersey, especially, But Pennsylvania, I'm a little worried, but still. Anyway,
everyone vote.
Everyone go vote. That's a go.
But it's important. You're right, because everything we do is like a statement about what we believe in, and voting is a really important way to make a statement, especially when one political party seems to think, things are fine.
is quick to, I mean, the incidents in New York yesterday, it was yesterday. All those incidents, and they're quick to politicize those, but not the time one of their supporters ran over a woman in Charlottesville, and just there's a very clear bias.
Yes.
I was watching a video
against
before
what
this
we're
that
currently
like
talking about. So
that bum stock's a thing that people were pushing to possibly at one point ban after the mass shooting in Las Vegas. They're now back on the market. Nothing has happened. Absolutely nothing has changed.
Except, well, there's
58
going to
people
be
died, and I understand that 8 people died in this, and it's still a tragedy, but now everyone's saying we need to do this, this, and this, but after the mass shooting, we didn't do anything. And I'm getting off topic, and I'm getting angry at this point, but
on that,
it's a slippery slope of terrible issues that are going on right now.
And you said that nothing being done. It's actually going it's going for the worse. They're pushing through they're trying to push through a bill. Donnie Jr. is spearheading it.
Oh yeah, the silencer.
Yep, to make easier access to silencers.
So that gun owners don't damage their ears.
So as to gun owners don't damage their ears, but also no one can hear the shots fired, and people can get killed more easily.
What a good idea, Republicans! Thank you so much.
I will say this, because there's been a lot of this going around, like how, like, people are saying, can you imagine what would have happened if the Las Vegas shooter had a silencer, and like they wouldn't have been able to hear the shots, and they wouldn't have been able to tell where they're coming from. A silencer would have never been able to make him go from that distance. So silencer would have been a mute point at this. So I just wanted to dispute that point. Still be illegal.
For that particular shooting. But the fact that I can think of 3 off the top of my head that
There's
wouldn't
plenty
have
of others,
affected.
But I don't want the fake things to be put out there in terms of this argument, because the argument is still solid, but that point is not valid.
Yes, we got way off topic.
Yes, we did.
Anyway, sexual assault.
This is a political stance.
But going back to what Tony said, this is I had a similar feeling back in 2000, and I believe it was 14, when Ray Rice, for the running back for the Baltimore Ravens, that whole incident with him punching his wife in the elevator, and I was like heartbroken, and I'm like, I feel him because I really liked him. I liked the work he did with his anti-bullying stance, but I had to tell myself specifically, like, if this was a player for any other team, I would be calling for him to be banned from the NFL right now. So just because he's playing for my favorite team, I can't support him. And it's hard. So like, as people like, and that's how you have to be. Like, people, you can chastise Bill O'Reilly for his sexual assaults, but you have to do the same thing with people like Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my friends brought up Penn State with Sandusky and punishing Joe Pa and punishing the team. They erased records. They did a lot of stuff with that. And that was the part that was brought up with the film crews and all the other actors was sorry. And especially it boils down to someone had to know. At least more than one person had to have known something. And why didn't you say something? Especially when it's children. And just you had to have known, and you didn't want to get your hands dirty, so you didn't say anything. So you're complicit. And
and there has to be consequences for that, because there are no consequences for it that it's so prevalent, that it's happening everywhere, because you can get away with it, and it's not a big deal, and that's the whole problem. Which is why, even though when it's hard, I mean Kevin Spacey is very shocking, but there have to be consequences for actions like this.
I do have to say I was very pleased this morning when I saw that, I'm not sure if any of you guys heard, but like a top person at NPR was he was suspended and then resigned after sexual assault allegations came out from his time at the New York Times, and more recently when he was with NPR still. And the first place I heard this report was NPR. And I was very happy to hear NPR reporting, even though it was going to be damaging to their brand. They were the ones reporting on it.
Yep.
That's really good. I did not hear that.
Someone slipped through our cracks. We're sorry. He's out.
Yeah. And that's all you can do now. And at least now we are talking about it. Everyone's talking about it, and that's important. It's important that everyone feels that they can come forward and tell their stories. And and, call people out for this behavior because it's insane and it happens at all levels to all degrees. I mean, whether it's full out assault or just making somebody feel uncomfortable every day. We should all respect each other a little bit more and think about the cultures that we've been brought up in. I mean, there's a lot of, the sense that it's, cool to like be, I don't know.
Yeah.
This is hard, guys.
No, if people are feeling like, especially in a workplace setting, like if someone there is making you feel uncomfortable, but you don't want to like rile any feathers, or if they're your superior, you still need to do something. I know it could hurt you in the long run, and for all I know, it could lose you your job because that person is in a position of power. But your well-being is way more important, honestly.
Yeah.
And you can report, and if you can report to someone else, try. That's what the HR department is for. And I know sometimes a lot of that, you hear a lot of stories about things like that getting covered up. But
yeah, but hopefully less and less. The more
especially
we
now,
call it out.
now that people are coming out of the works, more people are going to hopefully be believed.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. it's a heavy topic, but it needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
And everyone deserves to be believed. That's another thing that I know some of my friends are, well, what if he didn't do it? Well, still, you don't blame the victim. You look into it, but also, especially when so many are coming out. Not to avoid, I'm putting the stopgap here. I don't want to go into politics, but Trump specifically had like 70 some allegations. Just statistically, that none of those actually happened. That's impossible.
Well, he openly admitted to doing it.
Exactly. He said I can do this, and he said he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and nothing would happen. Sorry, stopgap. Not talking politics. That's so statistically unlikely.
Yeah. I mean, it's so telling, I think, about society or America today that he confessed to it before the election, and this country said, "Oh, well, that wasn't good, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah. It's not a deal breaker to me."
No, what he did was he confessed to it and then brought Bill Clinton's accusers. And that pissed me off more than anything, because Bill's not running. Bill wasn't running. Bill can't run. It's not Bill running for president. So that bothered me so very much. But that's part of it too. In college, there was a friend of mine at the time was accused of sexually assaulting a girl. They were both drunk, and the stories got real muddled. So no one really knew what happened, but she claimed that she was taken advantage of. And at the time, we were like, "Oh, well, that didn't happen. It's not what she says it is." We sided with him. And then amongst our group of friends, he told 3 different stories of what happened. And they were all noticeably different. And to the point of, he told one of us it was one girl and another that it was a different. So we were all like, well, if he didn't do it, why is he lying? So no matter what, somewhere in that story was the truth, but why would he lie about it if he didn't actually do it? So, and we cut ties with this guy. And in the end we were like, yeah, he is kind of creepy. We want to believe him because we want to think that we're friends with someone who's a good guy who just got falsely accused. But we were like, well, we thought about it. And when he's drunk, he's kind of creepy, and we didn't want to be associated with that guy and that kind of person. So, and it worked out. I think he's happy. I don't know what really happened. There's no criminal charges filed or anything like that, but that was probably the closest to an experience that I've had. But
bad as we were talking specifically about the entertainment industry.
Yeah,
like,
that's bad too. That was a college campus one. Yeah.
I can't even imagine how it works, because like so many of those go unreported, and like there's no punishment handed down in those because it's college setting, and they usually just, a lot of campuses will cover up those numbers to try and make it seem like it's a safer campus. Right. They won't actually reprimand anyone because there's no proof, and they're like, oh, they were drunk, kind of thing. it's
Yeah, I mean,
bad.
and you think about the people who have to be confronted by their abusers all the time. I mean, I have a friend who, yeah, was assaulted. I mean, you're confronted by that person all the time, and how is that to live with? It's bad. Yeah.
When your abuser is right there and is always there. So and that's really bad when it's a director or a casting agent or anything like that. Is they're always there, and
Because this is a small industry.
it's a small industry.
And how else are you going to work? I mean,
Yep.
who decides?
Your livelihood shouldn't be based on your ability to stifle your discomfort.
Yeah. No, not at all. Not ever. Yeah.
It's kind of hard.
Yep. And we can all, do our best to listen to people and make environments where people feel safe to talk about things like that and record things, and where it's not glorified to have slept with 1 million women, or it's I don't know. This is hard. I got off work like an hour ago, guys. I think it's really good that we're talking about it. I was really glad when Owen said that we should, as much as I was scared that I was an inadequate sort of discussion leader. I think trying to articulate our thoughts is really important. And then taking those thoughts into our lives, and whenever we can, being there for people who need help and standing up for ourselves, and always telling the truth, and not doing things because they're easy, but because they're right. And that's something we can all work towards every day. The more mindful we become about that.
Yep.
So good for you, Owen.
Yeah.
Thumbs up for Owen. So.
Well, we've been talking for 27-ish minutes. We're going to end on a slightly positive note, or at least somewhat more positive note.
Yeah.
I guess. I'm just going to tell people that I recommend. I got to see the production, the national touring production of Fun Home last night. It's touring through Schenectady at this point.
Hell yeah!
And it is really good.
It's so good. It's such a good show.
Such a good show.
Love it.
The writing is just so well done, so it's really hard to do a bad production. But the cast was really talented. It was interesting seeing it in a proscenium setting after having seen it in the round on Broadway.
Did you?
That
nice.
is cool. I want to see how they do that.
Yeah,
I really wish I had gotten to see it in the round. I saw it at the public before it went to
the round
Broadway.
was really cool.
It was.
I bet.
Because as much tension as there was, you probably felt in the proscenium setting, being that much closer, the uncomfortableness just resonated throughout the room. So that was one thing I missed a little bit. I still felt the tension coming off the stage, and I was pretty far back in the theater, but it didn't have that same effect.
I think I said this in previous podcasts. To this day, my most moving experience I've seen in theater, I've seen an actor do in theater, was when, spoilers if you don't know the show, so spoilers, when the dad dies. And he's doing Edges of the World, and he turns and the light shines, and it's the truck.
Michael Severs is just so good.
It was just so good.
So good.
When he turned and saw the light, and it was panic and fear, and then acceptance, and then happiness, all in 20 seconds.
Michael Severs.
And I was just and I won the lottery. I got to see it really close. I was really close up because I won that ticket.
Same.
And I was so close to him, and just the small little smile he gave at the end as the truck was about to hit him, I was like, I couldn't take it. I actually squirmed because it was just so good.
Yeah.
So go see this show.
It's
go
brilliant. It's so good.
In Schenectady through the
important.
next week at Proctor's. Highly recommend going see it. One thing I do have to say that I really liked about the preceding production that you didn't get to see in the round, getting to see the detail that when they bring out the set for the parlor, getting to see the detail and stuff in the furniture and the paintings and stuff like that. I was like, oh, this was his vision. I finally get to see it, and it felt like the museum, and it felt like his. You could tell. So that was cool.
You can actually see the house as opposed to
I was like,
the floor plan. You can see the house.
The walls, yeah.
Oh, that's
because the house is like a character. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I love it.
So yes, Highly
And I think
recommend
that's
that.
much of a
Go see
spoiler
it.
either, Tony, because she says right at the beginning,
She says it
Literally
at the
says it
beginning. She
and
says
he
it at the
killed
beginning.
himself, and I became a lesbian cartoonist. It's so great. It's one of my favorite plays,
Very good.
Yes.
like ever. So well done. Lisa Cronin, Janine Tesori. I just love it. So good.
Yes.
What was your other bit of good news, Owen? Because I have one.
My other bit of good news, which I'm sure I can talk about more in depth after I finish what I'm about to say next week. But I'm not sure if I mentioned this on this podcast or not. I probably have, but I'm a very stickler person when it comes to listening to cast albums because I don't like listening to cast albums for shows I've never seen before because I feel like it ruins the show. I have a specific instance that I'm not going to go into. Long story short, I started listening to the cast album for Hamilton because after seeing Fun Home last time, like I want to listen to more show tunes today. I was like listening through it. I'm like, I want to listen to something more modern. I'm like,
It's time.
God damn it, I need to do it.
Fine.
Because I'm also just like now that I'm up in Albany, like when I was in New Jersey, like the hope that I was gonna go get to see it, Hamilton and Broadway was like there's still hope. There's still hope. Now that I'm up in Albany, I'm like, there's no hope anymore. My hope is pretty much dead. But although the touring production will be coming through next season through the parent company that I work for.
Ooh, nice.
I won't get tickets though because they're gonna sell out to subscribers in like minutes.
That's true.
That's true.
We'll see it one day, simply because it's going to run until we die.
Tony won the lottery the first
I
fucking
know.
time he
Tony won the
entered.
lottery. This is what I knew about Tony before I met him, was that Owen hated him because he won the lottery on his first try.
I have the hat over there. I have a hat. It's the star.
He literally texted me and I was like, son of a bitch, do you know how many times I've entered the goddamn lottery?
So many times.
What a good day that was.
That was the day I stopped entering the digital lottery. I'm like, you know what, fuck it. Life's just not fair.
Because even though we were living in New Jersey, it did start to feel like, we were all applying for jobs, and it started to feel like one more rejection that we had to face every day was like, no, you did not win the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like throwing our rejection letters. Just crying.
Did you kick me out?
No, your camera's frozen.
That's weird.
So you're
back
still
then.
there with your smiling. Nope.
Yeah, you look really happy.
Okay.
You got that smug Hamilton look on your face still.
That's funny.
Not
I'm
now,
back. There we go. Yeah. Hello. My Skype. I thought I could have sworn you kicked me. My Skype went. bleh.
No, that would be
That's funny.
Get out of here, lottery winner.
That's very funny
But
though.
I'll talk more in depth probably on my thoughts on the cast album.
Yes, can't
I'll
wait.
give you my reaction to you guys next week, so you guys can
And,
talk about it because they've actually listened to it many times.
I know all the words.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Tony, what's your good news?
My good news is that after like 2 months of it being out, we finally beat the Destiny 2 raid.
We did.
We did. It's so good. We 5-manned it. Our first time, we finished the final boss fight in a fight that's supposed to take 6 people. We only used 5, and I was so proud of us. We have
And I'm an alternate. I'm not even on
He
like
is.
the
Yeah,
main squad.
he's not the main, and we needed Owen because two of our squad couldn't do it that night. One left in the middle
Rude.
fight.
Deserter.
I'm still mad, but I'm gonna let it go. I'm letting it go.
Yeah, we
And
beat it. So
we beat it. Yeah, and so we beat it, and we beat it the night before it reset, and we'd have to do the whole thing again. So, Owen, remind me, and I'll post the. Oh yeah,
group. We took a picture on the dead body of the boss. Because so
it was good and it was so fun, and that's what gaming is all about to me. To reach that unreachable star kind of, and it was just so good.
But yeah, no, I hadn't felt that sense of like gaming pride since I beat one of the Left 4 Dead maps on expert with my team back in college. Like I missed this feeling of group working together and to do something on a game.
There's a melee option, and one of our players literally punched the boss to death because he was so close, and we were like, ah! There's so much
we were out
screaming.
of
He
ammo.
walks up and goes, pop! So, and we won.
Yeah.
So that we freaked out.
Yay.
Freaked out. So that's not a great thing to add on to this particular topic, but we were very
No, but
happy.
it's good because you must
So-
temper tragedy with joy.
And we had screens and video games somewhere. We really
Yes.
did.
Yeah. It's about video games.
This was about very serious topics, and then happy video.
Yeah.
But that's
You
why I
know, and-
specifically said at the top, like we're talking about the entertainment industry as a whole. So,
Yes.
but
Good.
Jesse, any good news to add?
Did I tell you I quit my movie job? Because I've been riding that high for like going on 5 days now. It's just so nice.
But as Bridget tells me, a couple of your shows have been accepted into more things.
We have more things. That was the third reason I quit my job. Well, the fourth reason. After I hate it, my knee was sprained, and they fired my boss without telling him after making him fly back from LA. And also, he was one of 2 people I liked. And then after he was fired, the other person quit. So I had to quit too. But aside from all of those reasons,
Make him fly back and then fire him. That's awful.
yeah, and they already had hired someone like days before, and they introduced him to the team before they told Zach, and it was like the cruelest thing I've seen, and not cool at all. I mean, like, I don't know. I tend to be like a really moral person in that way sometimes, where I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
That is so not okay.
Yeah.
That is not an okay thing to do.
It really pissed me off, and it pissed me off the most was that I don't think they really even realized that like what they did was really dick.
Mhm.
They're just like flailing their arms. It's like a horrible mess. I mean, I shouldn't. No one's ever gonna watch this from there, I'm sure. But like, you really shouldn't ever treat people like the way those producers are treating their team when their team is like working so hard to make this movie happen on like with nothing.
And that's how it is in the entertainment business. Is people say, "Yeah, you should expect it. It's the entertainment business." Well, no,
Exactly.
you won't expect it if you don't do it.
Exactly.
We're supposed to expect it because it's the norm, but it shouldn't be the norm.
It shouldn't be the norm.
So-
Exactly. And it bleeds into every aspect of that. I mean, like, I'm happy to do grunt work. Like, I'm happy to move heavy things. But sometimes, you know, it's annoying when they're like, go get my McDonald's again. And it's like, are you sure? Like, what if you got it? Or like, you know, when first it was like we were supposed to work, we worked by the day, not by the hour. So first it's like a 9-hour day, and then they're like, oh, well, sometimes it'll be a 10-hour day. And I'm like, that's fine. And then at some point it was like, oh, it's a 12-hour day, actually. And it's like, oh, okay. And then at some point somebody was like, well, really, it's a 14-hour day because there are those overtime hours. And I was like, you're not paying us overtime for any hours. So I will be leaving after 12 hours.
You told me
also for
12. I
me-
made plans. I'm out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for me, I was commuting almost 2 hours back and forth because it's in Brooklyn. So you're left with like 8 hours in your day to like eat your dinner and go to sleep immediately and wake up and do it again. But aside from all of that, you can see why I'm so happy to be done with it.
Oh.
Yes, I have some movement on my plays. One of the actors, one of the male voice actors actually, who I love, Jay Steven, recommended us for a workshop in the Hamptons, and they just sort of like accepted us to do like a little workshop production of Rachel in the East Hamptons in January, and we're going to use that to roll right into like a weekend of performances in a theater in Montclair, which is near where my director lives, and she's got like a theater community there. And we'll just like do some performances. And it's exciting for me because it's the first time I'm not producing anything. I'm just a
They're
writer.
just doing your play. That's so cool.
When they do the workshop, like I just get housing for the 4 days, and they're going to give us like $300 to split over all of us, which is nothing, but I'm getting like $1 bill. I'm not paying anything. They're just
That's awesome.
doing it.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
so that's really exciting. And we also heard that, well, there's a guy in Canada who maybe wants to translate our French play into French.
That's fun.
Yeah. I mean, he has to like read it first, and I haven't let him read it because like I need to revise it still. I mean, it's mostly done, but I need like 2 more days. But he's excited about the idea because everyone loves this historical character in the fight choreographed community. So that could be something in the future.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Happy notes. All these happy notes.
Hey.
Yay.
Still good things, even when like the world feels really bleak. There are always a couple things to be thankful for.
All right.
Well, thank you everyone for listening.
This is a good one to start listening if you haven't yet.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna try and promote this particular episode as much as we can. Try and get a few listeners who maybe haven't started with this before, and who knows what we'll do next week. We're gonna try and get back to our regular schedule, once a week episodes. Morgan will make her way back eventually. She's welcome to come back anytime.
Do you hear that, Morgan? We're still waiting.
Come back.
We're still waiting for because Tony and I still need to do our. Tony and I will be on the team of Microsoft versus Sony.
Oh yeah,
it needs to happen.
That fight needs to happen.
And then Jesse will be on the side of like Nintendo, be like, "Hi."
You can't ever be mad at Nintendo. So
they're just doing.
You can if you're trying to use their headsets for the Switch. Which I've heard are a disaster, but that's a project for another day.
We keep getting off track. Okay.
Yes, because we haven't talked for 2 weeks, and there's so much to talk about.
There's so much to talk about.
Well, I'm free now.
Yay. You're free.
Mostly. Except for like Wednesday nights, like today.
That's why we're doing this so late, but
yeah.
appreciate the fact that we're doing this so late. But thank you again. We'll talk to you all next week. Thanks. Bye.